Session.
Yes. Sir, are you ready?
I am ready always.
Okay. I now request everyone to mute your mic and switch off the video to avoid any kinds of inconvenience. Thank you. Hello everyone. A very good morning to one and all gathered here. I'm Michelle, and on behalf of Rhine Publishers, it's my greatest pleasure in welcoming you all to today's one-day international webinar on the topic Corporate Challenges in Management of Security Service Subfunction. The participants can post your queries and clarifications in the chat box. I would also like to inform that the feedback form for today's seminar will be posted in the chat box at the end of the session. It's now time to get into the session, and joining with us today is Dr. V. Rangarajan. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
And the organizing committee program convener, Mrs. K.J. Philomenal, Vice Principal, Head of the Department of Commerce, Siena College of Professional Studies, Edakochi, Kerala. Welcome, ma'am. Organizing committee members, Mrs. Mary, Mrs. Lakshmi, and Mrs. Liji, Siena College of Professional Studies, Edakochi. I welcome everyone. Now it's time to welcome our resource person. The resource person, a very highly qualified academician, had obtained his MBA, PhD from Bharatiyar University. He started his career in industry and served for 24 years, holding responsible leadership positions in marketing, HR, training, and operations in leading organizations in Chennai, Bangalore, and Trichy. In academics, since 2010, he teaches core and related subjects in marketing, HRM, EDP, organizational behavior, research methodology for UG, and international marketing for PG. He had published 25 articles in reputable ISBN, ISSN, UGC, and Scopus journals. He has also published 3 book chapters and 2 case studies, and won several awards in national and international conferences. He took FTPA for faculties and entrepreneurship program for students. In addition, he serves as a preferred resource person for several subjects to MBA and PG DBM students at Annamalai University DDE. And he serves as a member of editorial board in ISS's journal at St. Peter's University. He also serves as a resource person for video lectures on management topics. He is also a trainer in soft skill, behavioral challenges, sales, marketing functions for MBA finishing school graduates and for career aspirants. Spoken English, business English, and correspondence training for educational institute and corporate companies. We are extremely honored and delighted to have such an insightful person amidst us. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today, and the session is now yours. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Let me just thank one and all, especially the college organizing committee members, vice principal, and then our friend Dr. Steffi from Ryan Publishers. And this is very unique subject. So I would like to begin with my presentation. First of all, I extend my warm welcome to all these members, the committee members, vice principal madam, and the academicians, teachers, students, and people from the industrial segment. I am Dr. Rangarajan from Chennai, as introduced by our colleague. I am a consultant trainer, an industrial security auditor, and of course I am a professor in a college. This is my unique subject. This is my favorite subject, where I have taken my degree. Well, Yeah, the whole presentation is about the challenges in the management of security service personnel in the organization, institutions, irrespective of size, irrespective of the size, nature, turnover of the company, turnover of the institutions, and in any locations, whether they are making the profit or loss. There is a function called security management, security department in the organization. Of course, institution also we have. So this is a unique subject in the sense, in different platforms we have different training programs to different audiences in marketing, human resources, finance, soft skills, and all that, especially in the industry, they are giving the training program to almost all the department colleagues. Of course, in college also we are giving a training, we are giving internship through the organizations in various departments. Maybe some of the students may go to manufacturing, some may go to accounts, finance, sales, and all that. But this is one unique department where, there is a lot of misconception is happening. There is a lot of disrespect is happening, I would say that. No one notices, no one bothers about this department. Although the organizations need this security personnel 24/7, 365 days. Whether it is shining or raining above my head, I need their services definitely all through the day, all through the year. And it is because of them, the top management people like managing director, vice president, principals, and other department people from marketing, manufacturing, all the people are able to take rest and sleep peacefully in night. Mind you, it is because of them. You and me are leaving the factory in the hope that they do the service properly, in the hope that they are the people who have to protect us, in the hope they are to secure our property, in the hope that they secure our lives also. During the daytime, they perform. Of course, when your factory is closed, when the institution is closed, when the students leave the places, everything is empty, especially on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and of course holidays. We don't come to the company at all. We don't come to institution at all. So it is especially very particular during this period. Their service is required critically. Let me just give you the outlook of the security function business background. It is 24/7. It is physically demanding by nature. Look at these two people. They are in full uniform.
Sir, you're not audible.
Yeah, so this presentation is all about the challenges that are there in the management of security personnel in the organization, and of course institutions also, irrespective of the size, nature, turnover, and whether they are making profit or loss. Well, as I just mentioned, they are needed in our organization. Whether we are working in day or night, especially when we leave the organization, when we leave the institutions, it is they who protect you and me, who protect the properties worth of crores and crores. And therefore, their service is very essential and very critical to have the properties properly protected. It is because of them, you and me, the top management, all the employees, all the people in the institutions, we go back home and then we take rest. Imagine if there is no security personnel in the organization, in the institution, what happens? Everybody walks in, everybody goes out with their own materials. There are theft, pilferages, and all. So this is very sensitive department. Despite that, what happens is, ironically, these people don't get respect at all.
Excuse
Am I
me.
audible now?
Sir, yes, you are audible. Sorry to interrupt you. Sir, have you stopped your presentation?
Oh, I just started with the first one. 1 minute, huh?
Yes, sir.
So therefore, of course, you've already seen it earlier, this particular slide. Yeah, so they are protective and proactive functions. They need to protect from the external threat, and they have to make the, now is it visible? Am I audible now? Am I audible and my slides are visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, great, okay.
You're audible, sir.
Yeah, okay. They need to take actions when there is a threat perception, when there is a threat, when there is a violence, when there is a pilferage, theft is happening, and they have to protect the properties and people. That is a part of the responsibilities. And then, they are frontline service people. They are there day in, day out in the factory. They are visibly seen. You and me and the organization people are seeing this visibly. Perhaps, they are sometimes semi-skilled, unskilled. That is apathy of it. Though they have got responsibility of protecting the properties and the people, sometimes they are, they are semi-skilled because of the deaths of the people in the industry. And it is a loss prevention area for the business. They prevent the pilferage, theft, sabotage. They prevent the losses. Therefore, they are called loss prevention department from the business perspective. Now, this is a mute question which perhaps you may like to ask yourself. Is that an industry? We have seen the industry in the finance, in the manufacturing, IT services. Is that an industry? Yes, it is. Look at the various boxes. It is worth about 22,000 crores annually, with a 9 lakh workforce working in different departments, different companies, different institutions, different locations. This is estimate which I have got from the research till 2020. And this service is required in almost all industries in any location. There is a pressing need to protect, whether it is a mall or retail stores or a company, small company, medium-sized company, big company, barring a one-man show. It is required in the industry. It is required in the business perspective. In business, most of the owners, they know very well, they can't afford to be in the business without the proper security cover. The business needs require these services at all time, whether I'm making money or not. Because, I need the machinery, I need the people, I need the proper documentations, I need the materials to come in with the proper formalities. I have to send the materials, products outside with the proper security documentations. Therefore, they protect, they see the documents, they protect your properties, they are supervising, directing, they are controlling the dispatch of materials. So therefore, it is an industry. Like any other industry, like IT, ITES, manufacturing, quality, there are umpteen number of industries we have, umpteen number of services we have. We got housekeeping, driving, transportation, gardening, like that. That is an industry which is worth about 22,000 crores, imagine. This industry is labor driven. Not much of technology is there. Like IT, ITES, every day you got tool, every day you got advancement in technology, you must embrace this. But 95% of this industry is labor driven. 95%, barring gadgets like the CCTV cameras, this barcode, this and that. 95% of this industry is humanly driven. It is labor driven. there is not much of technology interventions. Like I said earlier, closed circuit television, maybe the cameras, maybe the sensor and all that. But let us see, are there any challenges to run the department? Are there any challenges to run the department like any other department? We may have the marketing managers, we may have the finance manager, manufacturing, production, quality, purchase, administration, HR. And we know very well there are challenges, there are difficult situations in all departments. So this is a very pertinent question. There are challenges in this department like any other function. Let me just take you through these popular views on the security from the client side, from the others also. Why should I pay more than what I want to pay? I pay far less to my other employees. If you are engaging a security personnel, they are working for a very peanut money. Okay, so why should I pay more if they are asking for a better salary like any other employees? They don't have union, so the marketing man will ask for the better salary. Marketing, purchase, admin, HR, they go for the betterment of the salary. They ask, but the response is, why should I pay more? Next, they don't contribute to the bottom line, which means they are not part of this business. They don't produce anything. They don't go and sell. They are not part of the bottom line, unlike other departments. Next, after all, look at the word, after all, they are securities outforced. They are not part of my payroll. So I have taken from the other agencies, from the market. There is a specialist agency from where I am getting this personnel. So they are outsourced. I don't need to pay more. They simply stand in various locations and look and do nothing. This is a very typical reactions, typical views. What do they do here? They are simply standing and then they look at here and there. They do nothing. You don't need great qualifications to become security. What is the qualification they may have here? They may have, 10th pass or maybe the school dropout or possibly 12th or maybe one or two people, they would have got the graduation, they would have dropped off for certain reasons. So you don't need to have any great qualifications. Right? That is what they say. What is it you got in the qualifications? I got engineers, I got chartered accountants, I got PhDs, I got learned teachers. What is the qualification you have? That is what the response. No incident in campus or in the company locations, no need to pay more. It is irony that, as long as everything is quiet, they don't look at the security department, and I don't need to pay more. Everything is in place, systems are in place, everybody is working very happily, satisfactorily. So no incident, no problem at all. And the security service doesn't add value to the organization. What is it that they are giving to us? That this is what is the typical remarks I have seen from almost all sectors of the industries. This is when the agency goes for the wage revision, when the request for wage revision, this is typical remarks we used to get. You can go and check in your own place. There are challenges. What are they? First box says, what are the challenges? Is it real or is it fictional? Is it perceived one? From where these challenges originate, from where the challenges come from, and what are the consequences to corporate because of the so-called challenges in the department? Are they resolved? If there are challenges, from where it came, what are they? What are the consequences? Are they resolved? And if they resolved, who resolves it? The fifth box, how to face challenges and how to protect, how to proact the counter in order to liquidate them. If there are challenges in my company, how to react in a impromptu manner and how to solve this in order to liquidate those challenges. If there are challenges in the company, in the organizations, how to react in such a way that we can liquidate them, we can resolve them permanently. Is it HR or admin or the security itself to face all these challenges, or the top management? These are all the challenges. What are they? Where are they coming from? What are the consequences? Who resolves it? Is it HR, admin, or top management? Yes, business cannot run smoothly without active security intervention and support. Imagine one day you find that all your gates are unmanned. Everything is in a standstill mode. The dispatches don't go at all. The lorries are parked here and there. The people may walk in at any time. The visitors, the employees may walk in any time. Anytime they go, there is no documents. And the people, they are all feeling that who does this job? Nothing is moving. Lorry is not coming. Somebody is coming to the office. We don't know who is coming, who is going out. We don't know what goes out, what comes in. Business cannot run. Therefore, it is a challenge. It is definitely important department. And normally, box number 2, it is associated with the management team of the HR, admin, and security head. In most of the organizations, and of course institutions, we may have a estate manager, we may have admin manager, and some responsible person who will handle the security. But in the company, normally it is handled by the HR head and administration, of course security head. In some institutions, we may have vigilance officers, we may have chief security officers. In large campus, where the student strength is about 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, you may have a big team of the security. It is headed by the retired security personnel. They are posted as the chief security officer or security manager or security head, and of course these guys will report to the principal or the secretary or the management. And yes, security service contributes to loss prevention to the business. They are preventing the pilferages. They are preventing the loss. It is a contribution, but no one recognizes that. Normally in security service, at the top hierarchy, it is normally manned by the ex-defense people and the police forces. They are expected to be absolutely, totally disciplined, honest and obedient in their duties, and they have to be vigilant always, whether it is day or night, especially in the night time, they must be really vigilant. They should have eye for details. What's happening? What is that noise? Who is moving out? Who is coming inside? Why should there be a team there? Why should somebody comes in after office hours? Why should somebody just loiter here and there in the office without any work? They must be constantly vigilant. They must have the eye for details. They must be having the eye for details, eye for observations, and investigative and inquisitive by nature. This is basically they're all I would say qualities of the security personnel. Whether you are holding officer post, manager, or whatever, they must have all these attributes. They must have the nature of investigation. They must have the inquisitiveness by nature. And there is no formal education qualification which teaches security function. Unlike accounting, marketing, technical, science and all that, you don't have any prescribed qualification from the university, from the business, or from the academicians. There is no qualification, but it is the forum, like we got forum in the security parlance, security function. We got association like Pasara, we got association like CAPSI. They fix the qualifications. Of course, government seconds it. The minimum qualification is, sometimes it is very sad to see that the people who are manning the ATM counters, they are hardly qualified, like 8th standard pass. The reason is nobody would like to take up this job. Although the prescription is 10th or 11th pass and all that, because of there is a demand, there is a high demand for this industry with the qualified people. Nobody will like to take it up. But in accounting, we need MCom or BCom. For marketing, you should be a PGDB in marketing. In technical, you must be a BE, you must be a BE or diploma course in the technical areas, IT, software, language and all that. Economics, you must have the qualification like BA and all that. There are umpteen qualifications for other functions. So that is one of the reasons as to why the people are reluctant to take up this job. Yes, as I said in the beginning of the session, their department functions, duties are hardly noticed, recognized. Once when the company people come inside and then work in the department, they don't bother. They don't bother to know what are the difficulties, how much they are getting, do they have the facilities like, toilet and all that. No one bothers about it, barring few companies. There will be companies, but by and large, it is my observation last 10, 15 years time, nobody gives respect to the security personnel. And yet, this 22,000 crores industry and 90 lakh workforce, it is not professionally background. You don't find it, they are professional people. You don't find them that this is a profession. Whether it is service provider or the clients, they don't take it as a profession at all. And it is the least remunerative to the workforce. It is the least remunerative to the workforce. Let me repeat it. This job does not give the minimum payment as per the Minimum Wages Act. They say government may fix a heavy amount, 32,000 rupees per month they have to pay as per the Minimum Wages Act. When I am paying far less to the qualified people who have got qualifications like BE, MCOM and all that, why should I pay more? That is the mentality, that is the reactions from the from the clients. Therefore, it is the least remunerative to the workforce. Even the unorganized worker, unorganized sector like construction workers, they are getting roughly about 700 800 rupees per day with a duration of 6 or 8 hours time. But here the salary a man gets is minimum possibly about 10,000 rupees, maximum about 25,000 rupees. That is all. Maximum after a period of 15-20 years time. Society hardly gives any respect to these security guards. Can someone challenge me at the end of session that we are looking at them with respect? Do you respect consistently, especially in the gated communities, in small companies? We hardly notice them. Even the society, we see them as somebody who is looked down. He is very tired. He is not to be seen with respect. That is the reality that I have seen. And the last box says, it is a last stop for unemployed individuals in any job search. You can check with your own people. You can check with the colleges, with the schools. It is a last stop. If everything else has failed, I would have gone as a driver, mechanic, painter, or helper, or somebody with a menial job. If everything else failed in me, if I have tried everything, if I don't get into any of these trades, then they come for these jobs. This is the last stop in the employment search for the present day youth. The stakeholders like end users, service providers, agencies, practicing personnel themselves give least importance. After all, they are security guards here. They may come and go tomorrow. They will take leave. They will sleep and all. That's the stakeholders like end users. End users means the business people, business companies, the retail shops, the service providers like security agencies, and then practicing professionals, practicing managers. They themselves don't give respect. They themselves give least importance. Then how do you expect others to give? There has to be a complete change in the professional setup. And there is a gross mismatch between demand and supply of the required workforce. You can check with your own institution, madam, that today, if you require about 10 people consistently for next 1 week time, and you will find there is always a short supply. Maybe some days they may come in correct quantity. Sometimes workforce is reduced. There is always short supply of the product, short supply of the people. Instead of 10, 7, 8 people will be deployed, and they are to continue the shift for the next time. There is always mismatch. Barring a few top companies, there is always mismatch of at least about 25%. I can challenge. Barring a few organizations, in most of the locations where they are deployed, there is always a demand. There is always a short supply of this required workforce. Mushroom growth of several unrecognized, unapproved companies in security. This is one of the challenges. Every street corner, every area, you will find at least about 10 agencies. That has become a mushroom growth because no qualification. If you get a license, fine, you start an agency, you do that. Now you start with an agency and then you supply maybe 10-15 people. with your police background, with your defense background, and there are small timers. They may do a good job, but this mushroom growth. You know, all India level, we have got 16,320 security agencies are there. Out of that, probably maybe about 20 agencies, 25 agencies are pan-India operations. They have got everything in place. Look at just 20 agencies. 16,000 agencies are there across all locations. And Gujarat is top. Next is Tamil Nadu, then other states. This is another challenge. The last box. No or little statutory compliance on all several regulations by the majority stakeholders. Imagine you have got the Minimum Wages Act, you have got working hours, you have got all these government laws. But you know, they are seldom followed. If they follow, then I need to follow permanently. There is no complaints on the statutory laws, on several regulations by majority stakeholders, barring a few established organizations who would like to take them along. Most of the companies, they don't comply the laws applicable to the security agency, security guards, security personnel. Imagine in Tamil Nadu, you need to pay 32,000 rupees. For them, this is a very hectic amount. They say, I don't make money. They say, I'm incurring losses. I'm in severe competitions, so I cannot pay. Therefore, I'm compromising on the basic aspect. Therefore, I find that if you don't pay salary, what happens? I still get people. I still get security guards, but you know, the quality suffers a lot. They are untrained, unmotivated or undermotivated, underpaid. This is one of the challenges. Nobody bothers. There is a mismatch in the demand and supply. There is a mushroom growth. Yet I want them to be in my place with all sincerity, obedience. They should protect my properties. They should work round the clock. But I don't want to pay. Industrial thefts, pilferages, sabotage, white-collar offences occur in connivance with security personnel, although the incidents are negligible in totality. You know, sometimes, like in any profession, you know, there could be incidents like, you know, thefts, pilferages, sabotage, white-collar thefts will happen in association with the security personnel, but it is very, very rare because the system is very weak there. When I am saying connivance with the insiders only, I have attended several investigation cases where I have found that top class managers, qualified engineers, qualified people have influenced security personnel to be a part of this criminal act. This is another challenge. We always say, what is it there? This theft would have taken place by security personnel itself. True, that could have happened, but very rarely. But that shows the system positions are very, very weak. Next, least job satisfaction or motivation to grow, unlike other occupations. Mind you, if you really go and ask them, are you satisfied with the job? Do you get the job satisfaction from the work you have been working for 1, 2 years time, 5 years time? Are you sufficiently motivated? The reply would be indifferent. They will say, no madam, I'm just surviving, I want job, that is why I'm here, I've got family, I have to earn, I have to protect my family. It is not that they are unsatisfied, they are least motivated. They don't know the job functions. But all they know, it is very little knowledge. They are not motivated. They are not motivated by the people outside, inside. I want them to be in place, they must wear uniform, they must go and do the job. But they need the job knowledge to perform better and better, because it is very critical function. Again, let me tell you, barring a few organizations, no one bothers to give a training on the job knowledge. Last, no job guarantee to the workforce. Even at the slightest security lapse in the job, if he sleeps, if he comes late, the HR will say your salary is cut. Admin will say your salary is cut. Okay, if you have the smallest deficiency in your job, they will say, they will call for the security agency owner or the manager. They say, please remove Rangarajan, because I find that he is not efficient, he is not working properly. Although I would have worked the earlier period with all full efficiency, but that day I happened to just, at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock early morning, I would have slept for about 1 or 2 minutes time. They take a snap, they sanitize all over. So where is job guarantee? So this is a very mute question and very honest question. From where these come from? These challenges, where do they come from? First and foremost, they originate from the within the sense from their own industry. There is little awareness or knowledge about security management. There is no proper training or association to give the consistent training in order to improve their awareness about the job, duties, functions, responsibilities. That is where it comes from. The customers, they don't have time to train them. They think they may be aware. Even if they are not aware, I am paying better with poor salary, let them be like that. I am happy as long as there is no incident at all. Secondly, improper assessment by the company on security affairs. I tell you honestly, this is my vivid and transparent opinion. You don't have the proper assessment as to what are my security functions, what is necessary in terms of the duty, in terms of the function, in terms of post, and in terms of the requirement, demand and all that. You know, they don't have the proper method to assess the security affairs. Am I protected all four sides? Or the lights are lit in the night time? Or the gates are in place? And we have got sufficient manpower to man all sensitive posts like visitors control. I have got all the systems in place. But you know, they should be in place. But since I don't have method to assess the proper security standards, that becomes a kind of a challenge. Lack of knowledge, lack of proper methods to assess the security affairs. Number 3, poor security framework or culture from the management. I tell you honestly, because they feel it as expenses. They may be willing to pay. They may have the procedures and policies for all departments, and you know, in security they don't have the proper standing operating procedures. In the sense, they don't, the management, only when there is a loss, only when there is incident, they'll wake up and then they'll call for a meeting and then they will design all these protocols and security department measures and all that. But after some time, again it goes off. Again it becomes a cold storage. Therefore, there is no consistency understanding the security framework. Am I having all documentations in place? Am I having an authorized person to sign the documents? If Rangarajan is not there today, who else can sign? Is the dispatch followed properly? There has to be a culture of protection among ourselves. All the people should know the importance of the security protection within the company. And of course, very little complaints, as I said earlier, on security policy by the company officials themselves. They say, yeah, you may not pay PF or ESA, chalo yaar, that's okay. But in the forthcoming labor code, which is pending before the court, everybody has to be covered with all these provisions, PF, ESA. The agency may not pay, but it is a duty to pay. It is going to come shortly. In fact, it should have come by now, but there is no proper draft by the various state governments. It is pending. What are the consequences? Employees will not cooperate, and if there is no visible measures, employees will not cooperate here. Everybody will go out, everybody will come in at their own whims and fancies. There is security breach. You need to have certain security protocols, security measures, but if there is no system, there is always a security breach. When there is a breach, there is a violation. The intruders may come, there could be trespassers, anybody can take any materials, it goes undetected, it goes unchecked, and information flow is irregular. The top management wants information. Mind you, a good company, established company, they require information as an MIS from the security department. In the sense, they know how many lorries are going out, what is the dispatch, how many employees are there in the company, and who are normally coming in late, who are going out, who are working after office hours, who are coming in the weekly off days. The information flow is irregular when you don't have a system. When you don't have a system in the place in the security function, the information is filtered or fabricated to management, leading to the wrong decision on security front. Because everything is fluid, everything is manipulated. you don't have the proper checking mechanism. The HR will check, very regularly, but what happens is information is filtered. If there is a theft or pilferage, no one brings it out, no one escalates the top management. And they feel that all is fine, everything is fine, nobody is working properly, they don't cross-check. But yet there are a few companies who normally check and compare the details, data from the other departments and that of the security. And incidents of security breaches will always increase when you don't see these challenges if they're not addressed properly. Incidents of fraud, connivance, workforce integrity becomes questionable, wrong hiring policy, dishonest practices creep in many sensitive segments. You don't do the background check verification. You don't, when the visitors come in, you don't know what are they, who are they, where are they coming from. People recruit. If there is no policy for security, anybody can walk in. Anybody can walk into place. Anybody can take up anything. So that becomes a part of these, unsaid companies' practices, dishonest practices. This I have seen, in many companies. If there is no complaints on security function, dishonest practices, frequent investigations, HR will have a headache. There is theft here and there, especially during the March. There is normally a stock verification takes place at that point of time. They conduct inquiry, they finish it off quietly, and everything is repeated. Management wastes their time. They would like to know who are irregular in the company, who are the casual employees, contract workers, who are going out. In a large campus, there could be work in many locations. You may have work in the mechanical, electrical, maintenance, safety, housekeeping and gardening. All these people are monitored by the security if they are under contractual obligations. The security people have to monitor the contract people work. They must wear the uniform. They must be in the concerned location. They cannot, wander around. But if there is no record, if there is no procedures, it doesn't take place. And mind you, a visitor visits the company and the security is a first touch point. He will form impression about the company by the way they are treated, by the way the security protocols are complied with. And it will be questionable if anybody can walk in without an identity card in your campus. They feel that there is no system, there is no procedure. There is always a negative tag, which I have already said earlier. Who can address this? Essentially, the security department themselves. That is first. I have to own the responsibility, accountability, the good and bad. And then the top management. Top management includes the general manager, chief executive, or the senior executives. They must foresee, monitor and plan and execute security policy. See, that is why I said in many companies they employ the ex-service person. They are clear in their objectives. They are good in people management. They are good in leadership skills. They foresee what is the requirement of the security department in terms of the work, the hours, the number of workforce, then the departments. It is basically the top management maybe at the senior executive level. The implementers, the top management frames the policy, they design the policy, but implementers are administrators, HR officials and security heads. But beyond all these people, the security department head and personnel themselves should conduct themselves properly. It is they who have to behave properly, who have to understand the function properly. They can resolve themselves. It is more of a self-compliance. Although they are monitored, although they are having this policy by top management, but internally speaking, like any department, like marketing, by sales and all that, they have got their own self-respect, their own self-regulations. So ultimately, it boils down to the security functionaries. The top management challenges this, frame security policy and philosophy as per the climate in the industry and in their own locations, fix the accountability to various functional heads. Like, if you're dispatching the materials, you fix the responsibility of sending it in time to the dispatch or manufacturing, like that. And proper hierarchy structure of security functions, you may have 3-4 layers. You may have the security manager, admin manager, or the security officers. You must fix a hierarchy in terms of reporting, in terms of the command. Ensure proper, correct input from security department. This is for the top management. They must insist that I need the reports every time at morning 6 o'clock, and of course one more time in the evening. This is part of the top management function. And every now and then they must scan the security perception inside the organization discreetly. They should have their own people to pass information, and they should be aware of the security perception in the industry. Like it happened, after this Bombay terrorist strike only, all the companies have woken up on the security services. That is a fact. After this, this terrorist strike which hit the Bombay, only all the industries have woken up, okay, we need the proper security functions, proper trained security personnel. So they need to understand what is the security threat in the neighboring companies. Maybe the company is closed, but intruders may come in, there could be a wall throwout and all that. They should be aware of the security threat. And they must detect the criminal offense, thefts and fraud, and pilfering through the dedicated leaders. If the management and the department, if they carry on with this proper scrutiny of the departments of the security registers, they will have the feeling that all are as per the set procedures. But that also gives a kind of a chance to detect the potential criminal offense. Of course, it's a large subject, big subject. I cannot deal with it because of the paucity of time. And the last point, intelligence gathering in and around the business locations. I tell you, it may look very simple. What is it, intelligence gathering here? That means what is happening in the surrounding industries. Are they paying salary in time? Are they have more contractual workers? Are they closing the factories? Or people are resigning from the company frequently? Are there any thefts? Are there any political affiliations? If there is a pen down stake, tool down stake, what's happening there? How are they managing the company? What are the loopholes in between two organizations? If there is a wall, is the wall well protected? Are the people giving the information about the competition, about the product to the neighboring companies? So this is what is a intelligence gathering which the security department should give to the management. This, of course, we have discussed. They must be orderly, they must be disciplined, and they should have the kind of a self-check in their routines, and most importantly, they must maintain the records perfectly at all times. It is a duty of the HR admin or the admin manager to call for the records of security department and then ask for questions. And they have to act as ears and eyes of the management. It is true. They must be a representative to the top management, not to the workers, not the contract workers. That is why it is always a standalone department. To conduct regular checking of the affairs of the security. So department will call like armed forces. I'm sure maybe you must have seen on some days you will find them in a group. They will call for the march past drill and all that. That is how you can see their physical fitness. You can exchange information and all that. Look at this second point. They have to act as a go-between the workforce of the company and others in difficult times. The strike may take place. The company may be taken over by the different company due to certain reasons. Union meeting, labor militancy, theft or pilferage accidents. It is in these difficult times the security has to come in front. And they must act as a lubricant during lockdown, closure, termination and sudden flash strike. Sometimes in the companies and institutions you may ask somebody to go. You may terminate them, you suspend them. But what happens when they come back the next day and then they try to create some ruckus in the gate or in the campus. But no, you have to, the security has to conduct themselves in a way that no, it doesn't create into the major conflicts. This is a question. They are constantly thrown open to the practitioners, management and suppliers and others concerned. What happens if nothing is happening? What happens if these challenges are not seen, not addressed properly? There could be many occasions for loss or damaged assets. People will be unsecured and also properties trespass, poor perception or image about the security in the eyes of public. In case of theft or fire, state agents will step in last. If there is a theft, if you go to the police station, they will ask you, do you have the proper security setup? And if there is a fire, do you have the properly trained safety and security guards? You know, immediately they don't step in. Unless there is a fire, which is an emergency condition, they will step in. But if the system is at fault, you don't maintain the fire extinguishers, you don't maintain the proper system of the people, and if you don't maintain the proper registers, probably they will not cooperate. They will say, everything is collapsed, sir. Therefore, what to do? We can only support you. Of course, they do the job very well, but you know, they won't appreciate the way you are operating. HR challenges, they must source the proper adequate workforce in business locations. It is a challenge to manage the unskilled, skilled workforce. Today the situation is changing. Many people are trying to take up a job in the security. I know the graduates have taken up a job, and then they must manage this is what is the challenge of the HR. They must manage to handle the people with the untrained background, with the least trained background. They must display the proper leadership. There has to be a constant supervision and control over the security affairs. They must recruit proper people. They must manage them. They must train them. They must have, the HR should have the constant supervision. No, don't leave it to them, although they can be perfect, but they need a little bit of supervision and control. And they must ensure that the records are properly maintained, and they must be seen by the HR. They must call for records every day or once in 2 days time, and manage between the mismatch of the security compliances. Try and do something for the people in terms of wages. The challenges or the touch points to the top management, and it is an opportunity for changes. In corporate governance, all the companies are facing challenges. If not from security, from market, from competition. But every challenges gives opportunity. You can adapt new policies, you can frame new practices. But I tell you, the changes are required for economical and industrial development. Of course, we have already seen this. We have discussed and elaborate. This is my recommendation. Have a strong all-round security awareness internally. Impart training. At least pay them salary in the range of 12,000 initially. Maybe you can revise it every year. And try and stick to the 8 hours working time. Today, almost, I would say most of the companies, they are going for 12-hour shift. What happens is, if Rangarajan doesn't come out on the morning time, the night shift person should continue my duty, which becomes, I will have to perform 24 hours duty. Again, next duty I will have to perform. So I will have to perform 36 hours duty if my replacement doesn't come. So try and do something for the working hours and provide basic welfare measures to the security people. This is what is my recommendation to the corporate. This, of course, we discussed it already. Encourage workforce to take it as a career. The frontline security personnel, maybe in your own college, you may tell them that this is a career. You can start as security officer, security manager, vigilance officer, and all that. You can grow and plan career growth to security personnel. treat them with dignity, constantly, influence them, motivate them, and all that, and but don't compromise on the work standards. Set the high standard as far as your company is concerned, your institution is concerned, and support them with a little bit of technological instruments like handheld detectors and all that. Encourage fair, transparent management within them. There should be no discrimination in the security department. Encourage them as a HR, as admin, as the top management. Encourage all these things. Of course, this I have discussed already. On the right side, you will find the administration. Ensure there is one SOP there. This is what is called standard operating procedures, and you have to be one of the authorized signatories for the security. Conduct surprise check. Mind you, this makes a lot of difference in the performance. Come for night checks. Conduct surprise checks. Correct and reprimand as a last resort. When you want to throw somebody, when you want to punish somebody, make it as a last resort, and prepare the SOP and comply with that all times. Is there a career in the private industry? Yes, it is true. Yes, there is a career in the private security industry. There are many leading companies extending the security services. There is a need. There is a need for the qualified candidates. I am telling you, I have seen the graduates are occupying the position of security officer. He has a department to work with. He interacts with the HR, admin and all that over a period of time. He manages one location, two locations. He understands the HR. Slowly he comes to the HR department also. From security, he moves to the admin, he moves to the security, he moves to the dispatch. And there is a training which is given to the security task by the training companies, which means there is a demand. Graduates in demand in leading organizations. One take up loss prevention officer. There is the designation called loss prevention officer. You may take up as a part of your career beginning. Maybe in the non-banking financial corporations like Muthoot Corporation and all that, they have 100 branches. Every branch required one security head or security officer. You may take up, and good companies are in need of quality personnel. Therefore, my dear students, you may try. You may sincerely take a try, apply to leading companies, and then ask for this. If you are a qualified person, you can, if you can provide the security cover, if you have the aptitude, if you have the physical and mental stamina to work for 8 hours, 12 hours time, you are at it. In the IT industry, they are working for 12 hours, 16 hours, yeah. So, therefore, you can always take up a job, and let's see how things shape up in near future. I've got just 3 more slides, okay, 3 or 4 more slides. Generally, industry finds more mismatch than matches when recruiting the freshers. This I have seen when I have handled the soft skills program, when I handle the finishing school graduates. What are they and what is expected of them from the industry? On the left side, you will find areas of mismatch. Basic knowledge is lacking here. That's very bad situation. The basic knowledge is lacking when they ask certain questions in the industry. Maybe you are an engineer or diploma or accounting person, but when they ask for the basic things, sometimes there is mismatch. And of course, I have seen when I have taken the interview with the students, there is always a lack of confidence or too much of confidence. Very casual approach and lack of expressive ability. Interview is not a 1 hour affair for freshers. It is a formal meeting that may last for about 10-15 minutes at the maximum half an hour time. Within this 10 minutes time, you must have the expressive ability to convey which is required for them. Unwillingness to take up a job immediately. They say sometimes, that, if you want me to go to Virupuram or Bangalore, I'll check, sir. There could be reasons. But, this they don't accept it. You can say, yes, I'm going to take up a job and give me some time. Give me about 1 week time. I'll come back to you. Surely I'll join. But what happens is, especially the people who are coming from the rural segment, they say, sir, immediately I can't go there. I've got some important responsibility. They may have, but you can always take up a job. When you are trying for a job, take up a job immediately. Lack of attitude. This is one of the glaring mismatch. Attitude, I'm sure in your soft skills program, many would have discussed it. I'm sure students would have gained about this attitude. Attitude decides your altitude here. Mind that. There should be a right attitude. I don't see positive or negative. It has to be a right attitude to work, to grow economically, socially, academically. But what happens is attitude is reflected in your words. How else you can say? Attitude you can convey through the body language, through the words. A lack of general knowledge. This is true here. Nobody can contest it. Except in the job, except in the companies. They are aware of many things. What happens is, if there is a question like, do you know about my company? The candidates normally respond, sir, I don't know. Or I have heard, they say with lack of confidence, they say certain things which are not factually correct. The short-term aspirations. Can I get salary 20,000 rupees in 6 months' time? Can I take up a manager job immediately? Can I get the promotions immediately? It is not possible. When they come back from interview, they say it is a very they say training is 1 year, 6 months time. They pay 10,000 rupees immediately, 10K, 20K. I want to get, that is you must definitely plan your career. It is not 1 day or 5 years affair. You must have the aspirations which is fixed for long-term goal. Lack of perseverance and consistency. No, when the questions are asked, how long will you survive in the company? Jokingly they said for lifetime. It is really a joke. But that's not an answer which they expect. They say, I will work for about 3 years, 5 times, sir. I'll work in any department. I'll produce good results. And consistency is very important. The consistency they see in their resume, starting from the school marks, college marks, and all that they see. If a candidate is good in their academic performance, 60-70%, automatically that gives indication that this guy is consistently performing. On right side, how to bridge the mismatch? Update your knowledge, have more confidence, right confidence with a positive attitude, improve your skills, improve your leadership skills, interpersonal relation, communication skills, study and serious approach in the job market, grab the immediate good chance, build the job and industry knowledge. You must constantly upgrade and have a better details about the industry and the job. For an accounting person, you must understand, you may not practice it, you must know the basic laws, you must know the latest amendments and practice ethical principles, which itself is a very long topic. Let us skip that now. Read the functional books. You must be abreast of the knowledge of the subject in which you are applying. Persistent and consistent efforts. Perhaps in few interviews you would have failed. My dear students, perhaps you would have failed in few interviews, but be persistent. Be persistent and consistent in your efforts. Whether you are getting a job or not, but once you go to company, you must have the efforts, you must have the persistent efforts and knowledge in whatever you do. And to bridge all these things, I have taken as a part of this very important slide. We all know that teachers are special and unique in society. Without teacher or teaching, other professions do not exist at all. We are the only hope for future generation. I believe this. I am sure the teachers who are present in this conference, they agree with me. We morally fail if we do not bring up a responsible society. In the learning curve through institution, the students unconsciously observe many things there. In the institutions, they spend 3 years or 4 years or 2 years time. Now, the learning curve indicates
Sir, you are not audible.
Yes, a huge thanks to our beloved resource person.
1 minute, madam. 1 minute.
Okay, okay, sir.
Technically something wrong. 1 minute. Huh?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
I'm just getting to the last 2 slides. Now, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
But the screen is not visible to me and to others also. This technical hitch always comes in when we least expect them.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now, is it audible now?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Yeah, fine, okay. Now, this slide I prepared at 12 o'clock exactly at night. I know this forum has got the teachers, the students, and probably from the industry. But this I want to highlight repeatedly in every forum. It is my duty, perhaps some may like it, many of these teachers are already aware of it. But this I want to reiterate time and again. So the punishment is necessary, but not as a first resort. That should be the last resort. I have seen people, the students are sometimes unduly indisciplined, they don't score marks, they conduct sometimes in a mischievous manner. But at the end of the course, they find that whatever we have told them, whatever we have fed them, it will stand them in the tough times during their lifetime. It will stand along with them during the tough period in their life.
Thank you, everyone. So we have now reached to the end of the session. I would like to thank everyone for your continued support. I would also like to inform that the feedback form is posted in the chat box. And please do fill it out.
I am willing to answer Any questions? Maybe through chat box, maybe orally also. Yeah, is it audible? Is it visible? I'm visible on the screen.
Yes, sir, you're visible and you're audible. The participants can get your doubts cleared by asking your questions to our resource person, or please post your questions in the chat box.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
Mithuna has raised an hand.
Yeah. Please go ahead, madam.
Yes, what's your question, Mithuna?
Maybe she forgets. That's okay. Anybody else? It may look like a new topic, but we are seeing them on a daily affair. When you walk into a mall, when you walk into a Reliance showroom, when you walk into a big company, no, you are seeing them, but you don't know their background. You are seeing them in their uniform, shoes, cap and all that. There's such a lot of background in their function. That is one of the reasons why I've taken it this topic. Okay, so you can exchange your thoughts also. Need not be a necessarily question. You can exchange your thoughts.
The participants can unmute your mic and you can share your thoughts and feedback.
Maybe some of them may come from the industrial background. Some of them are already employed in the company. Maybe they can also, contest my opinion. They can challenge my thought. What is wrong in that? After all, knowledge is enriched only when it is challenged. Not that I'm correct and everybody else is incorrect. But you can always share your thoughts. Which means when everybody is keeping quiet, there are two things may happen. Everything is clear to them, or everything is unclear to them last 1 hour. Is that the case? From your teaching fraternity, anybody would like to exchange their thoughts? We have got 136 participants. I'm not sure, how many of them have listened to this 1 hour discussions. You can post the thoughts in the chat also. Well, madam, you may go ahead as per your plan.
Okay, sir. Sir, there's a question.
In chat box, or somebody wants to speak to me?
No, sir, there's a question. What do you consider your greatest weakness as a security manager?
Well, my greatest strength is to manage about 1,500 workforce without much of dissatisfaction, without much of problems in the service sector from the client side. And I've been able to give them salary on time. I've been able to, during my active service in their career in that industry for almost 10 years time before academics, I have given them enough welfare measures. I have not had any chance to reprimand them unnecessarily, although there are occasions where I have corrected them. I have also engaged the school doctors, the plus two people or college people. They have grown from ordinary security assistant to the general manager level. They have grown in the tenure of 10-15 years time, and I have had good time with the customers, with the HR, with the administration people, and of course with the clients. So that is why I would call it as one of the strong factors. And weaknesses, I go for regular surprise checks, conduct security audit regularly. At that point of time, when I find there is a lack of performance, whether it is day or night, they are supposed to be there in the duty post. Okay, so if a security person is not in the duty post, I certainly lose my cool. Although I wait for about half an hour time, this fellow would have gone elsewhere, would have slept. But when I find the reason is normally, he would have continued the shift. He would have continued the shift, the second shift, and then perhaps the second shift is really taxing and really highly exhaustive. So that means somewhere along there is mismatch of the required workforce and there is a short supply. So I normally lose my cool when I see that there is a lack of security personnel in the night shifts. And of course, one of the, I wouldn't say my weakness, I would say it is industries one of the biggest challenging times. What happens is during the course of investigation, I found that the security guard has connived with the HR manager for the theft. So after all, this person should have prevented, or HR manager should have definitely not motivated to be part of this theft. But what happens is both the guys have connived, have collaborated, and then they commit this crime. So I find that although we are protecting, we are actually getting salary from the customers. What happens is because of the lack of training, lack of motivation, lack of ethical moral practices, this has happened. That I find that that is one of the weak factors in this security. Like in any other force, you will find that some of them are black sheep. Like you find it any police or any professional activities, this may happen. This is also prevailing in this industry. But another weakness is that the clients are unwilling to pay the at least about 60 to 70% of the minimum wages. That is one thing which I find that I can't do anything about it. But for the last 10 years or 15 years, it remains as it is. It's only recently, there are some changes. Like some companies, they go to the campus, they recruit the security officers with degree qualifications. They are trying to pay more salaries. But majority of the institutions, majority of the companies, they have compromised the security performance and the security wages. Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So, a huge thanks to our beloved resource person, Dr. V. Rangarajan, for the valuable session and the wonderful insights on today's topic. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
You are welcome, madam.